Okay, glad to see you, Ashley, and I'm sure we'll have some others join us. Chris as well. Susan, Sarah, excuse me, and Chris. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I know we'll have some others that will join us here. Now, I want to get sure, I want to clarify something about the assignment involving Teradata University, because I had a question about one question, and what seemed to be some confusion that was reigning. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to the Sharda text, which is the business intelligence text, okay? And I'll pop in over there and we'll look over on and this is the exercise that's in chapter 1. And they ask you to go over to the TUN site, and it's based on that. And they ask you to go to the Teradata University Network site and explore the sports analytics page. Now, I took that assignment, and I apologize I hadn't explained about that last week. And what I did was very simply this. I said, go to the TUN website, use the site password. It's analytics. If you haven't registered, then go ahead and register. And find the sports analytics page and summarize at least a couple of the applications of analytics in any sports of your choice. And I give you some stuff like submit an MS Word document. Document should be maximum 2 pages. And I said the password, of course, is analytics. Now, and if you wish, go ahead. And I provided you the link. And let's see. And we've got that all in. Okay. And you'll have to log in there. Once you've registered, you should be able to log in. Okay. And then when you go into Teradata, then you'll go into a page that will take you, and you can scroll through and navigate through there and get to it. Now, I'm going to go over here myself to Teradata because I'm forgot my password. I think I may be able to just Teradata University. But you can navigate there to get to the sports analytic page. When you're at the front page, scroll down and you'll see a section on sports analytics. Okay. Part of this is to let you see the use of analytics, and which are a part and parcel of data admin. The other was, and to show you how much it's grown, the other was just to get you familiar with navigating through the site. So Teradata University Network. And I can't remember if I have a login saved over here or not. No, I don't. But once you log in and go through, scroll down there, you'll be able to go in and see the analytics page. So that's really all there is to do. And again, they've got, I'll click on analytics, for example, they've got some, as you scroll, once you're logged in and you scroll down, they'll take you over to, there's a page on the left-hand side, I think, that covers the use of data analytics in sports. That's really all it's about, and that's all you need, really all that you need to do. And I don't want to go through all the business of getting my password renewed and all that stuff, but that's what I'm after. Now, as far as the summary, document a maximum 2 pages. Provide me some screenshots, okay, of the types of things that you find, and we'll be good from there. Okay? And since it's not really like a paper, but you're just kind of creating a document, don't worry so much about, I'd like you to make sure if you cite, that you use the site link or whatever it is, the Universal Resource Locator, but I'm not asking you to go out and write a paper or write articles or anything, just to go over there and explore it a little bit. Okay, anybody have a question about that I could try to answer for you? Okay, I guess not. Then we'll go ahead and continue, and we'll go back here for just a moment. I'll go into the modules section. Now, when we met Thursday, we were talking about joins, if I'm not mistaken, and we had worked all our way over through over to chapter 12. I think 13, because we did inner joins. So 14 covers outer joins, all right? And before I get too far afield on that, now, chapters, Lunch's database 13 and 14 are due next week. As always, we're working ahead in these. So when we come down to that point where I give you some slack time to work on projects, etc., you're good to go. Now, if you take a look here, you'll see here is a database that's Lunch's 13 and 14 done. And that's what you're going to upload for both 13 and for 14, and I'm good to go. Now, we're going to work with some outer joins today. And so the first thing we need to do is you need to download the Patrick materials, okay? And that's a zip file. You'll see them right here. And then we're going to open it up. And we'll, of course, get SQL Fun out there. That's our data warehouse, okay? And then we will get the code for specific chapters. We'll open that up. And we'll get the code for chapter. I want to get the code for chapter 13. Pardon me, chapter 14, excuse me. I'm sorry. And we're going to look at outer joins. Now, as I said before, and one of the things is, as I work through these, every semester, sometimes I use the same set, sometimes I don't. It just depends upon, at any given moment, which of these looks like a better example or what I think might be worth looking at. The reason being is if you haven't noticed as you look through this textbook, he'll show you here's how to do it, here's a second way to do it, here's a third way to do it, etc. And so the author will often show us that, or he'll string some stuff together, as you've seen, like we create a table, then we create a view of a table, and then we create a view on the view and all that. And I really try to keep you from having to go through the repetition, because I think once you've done one or two of a particular type of query, you get it and you understand what's going on. And again, the whole point of this is to give you some experience working with Access SQL, also to get some experience in seeing Oracle SQL. Now, in the course, I give you an opportunity to work on a project using Oracle. And I want to find that little assignment here. Okay, it's a flex time. Here you are. And there in the Patrick text, they have a chapter devoted to, and you'll have to do this on your own machine, and you'll proceed at your own risk, to download Oracle, or kind of a baby version of it, and see how it works. And in the Patrick text there, he walks you through all of that. And that would be a good experience for you, because you get to see what Oracle looks like. And it's the number one platform out there in terms of data architecture. Now, over in the Patrick text, it's Appendix A. Okay, and he shows you over in Appendix A the Oracle, getting a free copy of it. Now, Chapter 20 talks about SQL design, and that's, again, might be useful for you to see it, but as we do so many of these queries, it should become quite apparent to you that there's a pattern that occurs, and that's just because the code uses a particular algorithm, and that's just how most codes are, from or get or whatever, and then the elements, and then the object, usually a table or a view from which the objects are drawn, and then an explanation of what you want to do with them. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Now, if this is a database management course, we'd cover some of that. Plus, we'd cover how is it formatted and presented to an end user. How is it embedded in a website? How is it connected to other databases in the company, etc. But really, this is data administration course, and this is just what we mean is for you to be an informed user of this technology. And you've heard me talk about it over and over and over. And as you go over to Teradata University Network, you're going to find some really cool stuff. It was developed by a professor over at Oklahoma State University. They have SAP available, a form of baby SAP. Or no, it's SAS, Visual Analytics. They've got some other nice tools that will help you. I think you can go over there and get a certification if you care to do that. But Teradata University is really devoted to analytics and the platforms that provide us those analytics. So let's talk about this for just a couple of minutes. Over on page 19, and let me say this again, I'll say it every time, you should have your book with you. If you don't have your book with you, you're just flying blind, because you're not going to get much out of this, because these cases that we do or these queries that we run are embedded in a larger business problem or a business case that we're trying to deal with. And so we're still dealing with lunches, and this is lunches 14. And over on page 519, he talks about outer joins, and he mentions that outer joins are derived from inner joins. Now, they're on 518, which is not numbered, but it does give you the contents for chapter 14. And let me grab my handy dandy little annotator. All right, and I'm going to grab one of these drawing things. All right. Well, I don't have to do that. Well, I'll show you the outer join. Here's one. Okay. And I'll go back to my draw, and I'll take another draw there. All right. You say this looks hauntingly familiar, like, I didn't want to do that. Erase that off. Now, that's weird looking. I'm gonna get rid of this. All right, and then I'll draw it again and do a nicer, better circle. Get the eraser off. Here we go. Get off eraser. Guess I'll have to choose draw. You can see I'm still fumbling through this. All right, now, here's set A, okay, and set B. Sounds like 1123, okay. Now, if we're talking about an outer join, an inner join, it's obvious. We want to match up two tables, two views, i.e. the data sets from a query, or a table and a data set. And we've talked about how we use those elements on an inner join where everything has to match up. Now, there's another strategy in joins, and that is what we call left outer joins, okay? And he talks about the fact that these are derived from inner joins, and indeed they are. Now, I'm going to take the draw off, and I think I'll give myself, let's see what we got here. All right, I'm going to take this jewel here. Now, here's an inner join. I said, I'll get the eraser on here. Yep, you want to do that. This is fun, isn't it? Let me go back to the draw and draw another circle. And I'll get the eraser. I'll get that one. Oh, I'm being nice. All right, let me do some more drawing here. Hey, just a sec. Sorry about this. Sometimes it cooperates and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm just going to start to fill these areas in, and I think you get my drift in terms of, okay, this is the inner join is where this set and this set match. Now, if I only want everything on the left-hand side, say all the records from this table or data set, view or result set, and only where they intersect. So if I want everything from table A and everything where A and B intersect, that's a left outer join. Conversely, all right, a right outer join would be where I have everything from this, all the records from this table and where they match. And it depends upon what I'm after. Okay, let's say that table A here on the left is a set of all of the people, is a list of everybody in Oklahoma City who's bought a, let's say they bought a Telsa car. Okay, I saw it the other day, kind of interesting. And over here in B, table B is everybody who was in Tulsa, who bought a Telsa car. Okay, the electric cars thing. Now, the value of joins come in when within these records we say, okay, I want everybody in Tulsa who's bought a Telsa. Okay, that's everybody in Tulsa who's built a Telsa. Pretty cool, huh? I thought, yeah, whatever. But, and I want to get everybody within a certain income who are also everybody in Oklahoma City who bought a Telsa, but who also meet a certain income criteria. Okay, because I'm going to get all that data from the Tulsa table, but I want to get those in Oklahoma City who bought a Telsa, and I also want to limit it to people of an income level. Okay, so I'm going to do this left-hand join, right-hand join. That's really all they're about. And as we go back in and we look, we're going to see that. Now, just to illustrate it a little bit better, I'm going to take the eraser here. Okay. I need to click them. And I'll turn the eraser off. I have to turn all that off. And I'm going to diminish my screen. And I'm going to go into the SQL file. Now, of course, today, I've got a file over there you can upload for 13 and 14, so you're good to go. But I'm going to look here for just a minute, and I'm going to look at the database tools, okay? And I'm going to click on relationships. All right, now it gives me a kind of a little warning or some business like that. Now, I know that on this lunches database, it's pretty complex. And so this is, of course, you say this looks like spaghetti. Pretty much so. Here I have a kind of a junction table where I've got here I have a one-to-one relationship. Here's a one-to-many, a many-to-one. And I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to click on it. And I'll click Edit Relationship. Now, of course, we're used to this dialog box by now. Okay. And if I want to join tables, if I want to join tables, I can do so manually like this, or I can write the code. But what I can't do here is select records. Now, I can enforce referential integrity. I can cascade any updates, which means everything gets updated in one field, table gets updated in the other. I can delete related records, which you'd never want to touch that. That's really for the job of the database administrator. And then you'll see in the dialog box this thing that says join type and the join properties. And it walks you through an inner join, which is number one. Okay. And it shows you the left supply, a left-hand join, which is number two. and a right-hand join, which is number 3. So the issue becomes is, which table do I want, okay? And where do they join up? And I'm also saying, what table do I not want in the other table? What data do I not need from the other table? It's just a more efficient way of doing a search. And we're going to close this off for a minute. All right. And we'll close this up. No. I'm going to walk through a lot of stuff. And I'm going to diminish this, and I'm going to come over to my access for chapter 14, okay? Now, at the bottom of page 519, they show you a classic inner join. Now, you've been doing this long enough that you can see that the first is this, we're going to run a select query, and we're going to get a dot and the asterisk. Is there anybody here who can tell me what the asterisk is? What's the asterisk there on the bottom page 519? That join, it says select a dot, and what is the asterisk? What does the asterisk mean? Well, that's pretty cool. Now, does anybody have, what is that? What does the dot mean? Now, I'm talking about this dot right here, a dot, and there's an a dot, and then there's an asterisk. Anybody tell me what the asterisk means? Anybody? Oh, that's interesting. I think what I'll do is I'm going to go and mute each person, and then I'll find out where it's coming from. Okay, now, again, right here at the select A, what does that asterisk stand for? Somebody tell me? Yes? No? Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I don't want to waste your time, and I seem to be wasting your time. So I'm going to leave it for you to figure out. Yes, I see Chris has got a raised hand. All right, talk to me, Chris. Yes, it's a wild card, exactly. Okay, I guess we'll keep going then. Thank you, Chris, appreciate it. So wild card meaning I want everything, okay, from that table. Now we got the chapter 14. Let's open it back up. Thank you. Very, very good. I got another question. All right. Okay, your mic's not working. Good enough. But if it doesn't work, you can always chat, and that works. So thank you, Chris and Libby. You gave the answer. I thought, but Chris, you were both of you were coming in. So yeah, I know your mic's not working. That's good. That's okay. Thank you, Libby. It is a wild card meaning a dot everything. Now the A, as we've talked about, is a pseudonym for a particular table, and then it's just a device that lets us identify a table without having to write the whole thing out. That's what it boils down to. So we've got select everything out of A, then we're going to select out everything out of table B, and then we're going to say, okay, what are we going to get out of those objects? And we're going to get the 2s from A and the 3s from B. So we've just identified the two tables One of them is 2's and the other is 3's. And then notice where we do the inner join, where A dot number 2 equals B dot number 3, and we order it by number 2. And because we order it by number 2, okay, that takes precedence. So we get everything from 2, and where we match between 2 and 3. That's the joint. Now, for all practical purposes, it's just a matter of what's contained in each table and how much do you need. But the point of it also is to explain to you that you don't have to run a complete inner join. You don't have to run an inner join that uses all of the data from both tables. You can be strategic in how you use that join, and so you can get everything from one table and then get everything, and then you get everywhere where they match from a second. And a good example of this, I gave you a couple before, but a good example would be everybody who lives in Oklahoma City, which is table A, and then those people in table B, Tulsa, okay, who are females. So we want all the females. Let's say maybe we're sending out a flyer, we're selling a product, but we want all the females from Oklahoma City and from Tulsa. And we could we'd run that left outer join, and we'd be good to go. And that's what they show us there at the bottom of page 519. Right? Now, if you look at the top of page 530, you're going to see the beginning tables for the 2's table and the 3's table. And then you see the result table is the inner join. And notice over there in number 3, word 2. Okay? We've got the inner join where they all match up. Then if you come down where you see where the rows are dropped from the 2's table and the rows are dropped from the 3's table, then I come up with my join. And so we did that inner join, we dropped those rows. Okay? Now the left outer join adds back everything from the 2's table. That's the left. A right outer join brings back everything from the 3's table, and they show you the left outer join at the bottom page 80 at 521, and a left outer join, and then a right outer join. And note, they give you the left outer join has all the rows from the first table, okay, and then only where they match with the second. And the right outer join has all the rows from the second table, but only where they match with the first. This also may be because maybe you have one table is exceptionally large and the other table is relatively small, and you don't want to handle that many records. It doesn't sound like a big deal until you talk about maybe running a query where you're going to be working with 1 million records or 500,000 records. Okay, so what we'll do is this: we're going to do 14.1, and we'll just copy and paste and throw this in. And let's see, we'll go back up here. There you are. So I'm going to click create. And then we're going to run the query by design. I'll come back here and we'll throw in the SQL. And now we'll run it. And there it is. Now, if we go down and look at the design view, you'll see this is the GUI, the graphic user interface, that most people will be working at. And look what you've got. You're getting everything from A, and then you're getting everything from B. And then where the number 2 and A in ascending order, and then you get B dot number 3. Okay? And so you've created the left outer join by invoking this A in ascending order. I'll go back up here and take a look at it, and there we go. And that's really all that we're talking about. We talk about right joins, left joins, pardon me, inner joins, left outer joins, or right outer joins. All right. And the rest of chapter 14 really does just simply cover that type of issues. They show you there in 14.3, another left outer join. Now, in this one, we're going to invoke a key statement. And if you look at the top of page 523, let's go first to the text. All right. Now, I've highlighted it for you, and I'm going to copy it. But before I paste it in and run it, notice that we see the left outer join. That's invoked. All right. 3's B on A dot number 2 equal B dot number 3. So what we're going to do there, is pretty simple. I'm going to use the 3's table as the outer join, and the authors give you the little notes that are over there on page 524. And they basically say you substitute the left outer join for the word from. Okay? And then you've got that left outer join, and then that second little note, it's written in a subclause, and this is the left outer join, 3's B on. So I'm going to get everything out of the 3's. Should get everything out of the 3's table, and I'm going to do that on A dot number 2, and then I've got that statement there we say equals B number 3, B dot number 3, and then we order it by A dot number 2, and they show us the two tables at the beginning, okay, and the left outer join. And you'll see everything in there from word 2, but you'll only see selected results over there from number 3, word 3. So let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll run it. And I'll click create, create, and I'm going to write a query. We'll close this off. Now I'm going to run it. And there you see. Now, again, if you look at the join, you've got the null is upside down there in this output, but you've got basically the result set that they show you there. It's just the null is inverted instead of being up on the top. But you've got the null from word 2, you find it, yeah. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. You find all of those, okay, in the 2's table, all right? And what we get from the number 3, word 3, we can see we've got a bunch of nulls. Those are records we don't need or want. And then 12 and then 18, where they match up. So it's really just a matter of strategy. We're going to a number of these, and so you want to save them if you care to. Would be 14.1. All right. Table 14.1. And then we've got this one. This would be, we'll save it as 14.3. So it just becomes a question of the business case that we're dealing with. What is it that we need to do? Once you see that and you understand it, well, let me put it like this. It's important for you to kind of have a fairly decent understanding of this, so that if you're working for somebody and you're fortunate enough to have a SAS or Oracle or something where you can on the user end user interface, i.e., the graphic user interface, where you can create joins and save a bunch of record processing and handling data and just get exactly what you need. And that's the whole point of inner and out, of left and right joins. They're just more, there's a strategy involved, because I need all the records from one, but I don't need all the records from the other table. And that's really about all they're talking about. It's not much harder than that. And if you see 14.4, okay, this shows you a right outer join. Well, we'll look at and now I like the convention here where they just simply say right outer join, because there's no question what we're after. Okay, and they show us that there. And again, in that way, I know what I've got going on. Now let's look at the bottom of page 525 and see what we get. If you take a look at the beginning tables, the twos tables, they're all there, 2 to 20, and then a null. That's that left table. Then the right-hand table is the threes table, and it has 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and then a null. Okay? So when we do that right outer join, all right, what we end up with is everything that's in number 3, word 3, and you'll see that. Those all match up. And then only those places where they match up in with the table 2. It's just a more economical way to use it. And typically, now if you're a marketer, this ought to be something you understand quite well, because you understand you'll have a universe or a population you're going to reach in general, okay? But then you have a second universe or population or set of records that you just want to match up with the other, okay? And it's the design of it. The simple design is what you're seeing here and what we're doing. What's in table A or table B or in the rows, etc., is really your business. It's really up to whatever situation you're in, whatever company you work with, or whatever record sets you're dealing with. So we'll click create, and I'll do that query design. Make sure that I copied this before I go any further. So we got that copied, and then it's pretty simple. I just do the SQL view, and I run it. And there we are. So the whole point is about getting only the records that you need. You don't have to do a brute force search through everything in order for it to work. And that's all they're talking about. Over on page 526, okay, they show you a full inner join. Before we go any further, let's call this last query we ran is going to be 14.4. So we'll save this. Okay, we'll do that business. Now we're going to look at a new query, and let's go ahead and click create. Query design, and we'll close it. We'll go down to the SQL view. And I'm going to go over here, and this is task 14.5. All right. And we're going to do this full outer join. Okay. And then we'll get that copied. We'll put it down here in a fresh query. And we'll run it. Okay, I've got a syntax error. Let me look at this for just a minute. Okay. From twos. I remember this. We've got a little bit of an issue here. Hang on a minute. Oh, let's see. From twos. And we're going to, okay. Let me look at this for just a second. Heading 6, he doesn't want that to be a run. And as from the dual, let's choose a full outer join. What I'm looking at is his syntax here for just a second. So we're going to select everything from 2's A and a full outer join. And it gives us this glitchy thing. Let me look at this for just a second. I want to see what we got going on. 2's A, full outer join, 3's B. Okay, so far so good. On number A dot number 2 goes B dot number 3. And the 3's A. Okay. Let's try this again. I've got a syntax error in the, and I'm going to take outer join. I'm going to take full out of that for a moment. Let's see what happens. It keeps stopping there. Maybe that'll help. Maybe. No. Let me look here for just a second. Okay. He shows us this. Okay. The syntax that I was trying, the syntax that I was trying to is for Oracle. My apologies. Now, at the bottom of page 527, excuse me, he shows us the SQL, all right, but it's not in the text file. And, let's see. Now, you don't have to type it all. If you want to type all that in and run it, feel free. But here's a little bit different critter. If you look on page 527, if you look at the Oracle SQ, which I mistakenly just tried to run, my apologies, you'll notice that you go from 2's and a full outer join. Now, in Access SQL, which is a different form of SQL, you're gonna do select A and B from 2's A, and then you do the left outer join. So far, so good. Okay, on number 2, it goes B dot number 3. Then notice here it invokes the union clause. All right, and then we select C and D from 2's the right outer join. Now, the union clause puts the two tables together, and that allows us then to go ahead and get that and get that left outer join done. Okay, and the Oracle code is in the text, but this isn't. You'd have to type this all in. If you want to take the time to do that, you can't. If you have your book, you could see here, okay, that he does two things at the bottom of page 527. He highlights left outer join, okay, invoking that, and then he invokes the union. So where you take the two tables together. Now what will happen is it's going to take the two tables together, but then it will split them apart on a left join and on where they match in terms of the number 2 equals D dot number 3. And notice what he does here. 2's is the A table, okay? 3's is the B table. All right, then we find 2's again is the C table, okay, and the 3's is the D table. So we can take two tables and make 4 of them by using a pseudonym. Just like we use a column alias, we can use a pseudonym for two tables. We can take two tables, A and B, and then create a second and third table. That would be C and D, using that, invoking that table alias, the A dot, B dot, C dot, D dot, and then we identify what they are. Then we're doing some pretty fancy work but the union is what puts them all together. Okay. Now I won't make you type it all out and put it in there. If you want to, go ahead. It works. Right? But it's the thing is to understand what we did. And what we did there is we used the union clause, okay, to put them together. Now, there's something about this that you need to understand, all right? Now, and I'll cover this real quickly. When we do a union, we take two tables and we put them together. And we eliminate any duplicate rows. So that's how we ended up with just that selection, because the union, when we use the union, that eliminates any of the any duplicate rows. We get rid of them, and that's how we get that left join accomplished. Okay, and the authors walk through there and explain it. And now they show you the beginning tables from some of the previous sections. You can write your own. You could type. You can write and type in the code if you care to, and take the time. I don't think it's worth it. Now, we're going to come over here to page 529, and they talk about the union. Okay, and 530 they give you an excellent depiction of how the union works. So we've got two tables, A and B. Notice what happens. We combine them into table AB. Okay. And then because we've invoked the union clause, we get rid of any duplicates. And we end up with table C. And they walk you, he walks you through there at the bottom of page 530, a select statement for that diagram. And notice what we've got. Select everything from A, union, select everything from B. But the union says I want everything from both tables, but in those cases where they duplicate each other, get rid of them. Okay? Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to have all of the records, and you can end up with duplicate records when you don't really need them or really want them in your report. Okay? And he said, okay, I have a customer list, and my customer list has been input over the past 5 or 6 years, and I've got, Earl's Groceries convenience store. He started with 6 locations. Now he's got 10. Now he's got 20, and he's moved 8 of those to a different place. So what do I do? Well, if it's that, if he's a vendor of mine, and say he's a customer, then I'm going to use an union clause to get rid of any duplicates that are in there, because I may have some duplicates in terms of phone numbers or duplicates in terms of an address or whatever. That's really all that's going on there. Nothing really fancy. It's just a matter of just being economic and how we showing some economy or parsement when we go after the data, and that's what we're going on there. He just walks us through some of those steps. He shows us a step-by-step how to form a union. Okay, and notice what he does here. He selects. He shows us to insert B into another table, or to create table C and select as distinct from B. He shows us that I select distinct into C from B. Okay. Now he says those don't run, they're just models of what you've got. Now over on page 532, you could see he gives us some Oracle and Access codes. All right. And let's dial up our WordPad. Okay. Now let's go over here and take a look at 14.7. That's a pretty good one, but we'll talk about it before we run it. All right. Now, and he shows you he provides you some notes and so forth. This is 14.7 at the bottom of page 532. We've got a select statement, okay? And that's pretty good. You know, we figure that out. A dot number one, A dot word one, and then we use an column alias as text one, and then A date one from section 1407 underscore first A. So we know what table A is. And then we invoke a union. And then we select the fields that we want from table B, and we identify table B there. Okay. And then we order it by the number one. And so we've got that. Let's copy it. And we'll click create. Okay. And we'll do a query design. Whoops, excuse me. I'll run it. And there's our result set. And it's the same one that's there in the middle of page 533. And he shows us the beginning tables. For each, the 1407 underscore first table, 1407 underscore second table. And then he shows us the result. And that's 14.7. Again, you're often going to be doing this if you're working with a product and you go to work and you work on a product, say like SAS or SAP or Oracle or any one of the products that are out there. When I was with the MIS class yesterday, I showed them PC Magazine's top choices for the best customer relationship management applications. Some of the other, and this is involved with enterprise computing. And the bottom line is that the number of products keeps multiplying every year, and you just have to look at them and do some analysis of them, of what they can or cannot do. There's a reason, okay, that Oracle is the number one, and it's primarily because it's easiest to use and understand. And number two, most people, if they are database programmers, have learned using SQL. We're not trying to turn you into the programmers or even be just a simple advocate for them, okay? Because what works for one content, for one company may not work for another. But it's important for you to see the process so you understand what you're doing. Now, one of the great advantages of being able to do this is that we can preserve legacy data. And we can not only preserve legacy data, we can build upon it. All right? Think of it for a minute. Let's say that I have a table that has the records of everybody who's bought, let's say I sell, let's say I sell securities. And I have a record of every transaction of every person who's ever made a purchase from me. That's good. And I've been in business 25 years. I have a large data pool I'm going to pull and a big report that's nice to look at. But I'd be better off if I put it into tabular form and did some work with it to try to look for some patterns. Now, the next thing is I'm going to have a second table of data that's recent, that's archival, or what would be the right term? It would be archival. I can keep it for study or for like a museum or something. But I don't want all the records. I just want a particular column from there. Okay. And there you go. So it's a matter of making these searches more economical, parsed better, more targeted would be a good word. Okay. And you'll often do that intuitively but when you get into using a database system, it just takes you some time. And like I say, most of the places that you go to work for are going to have something of that sort. Now, and they'll become more and more. The higher you go up in management, the more you'll see on your dashboard typically. and the greater your ability to cull stuff out of the database, okay, and do something with it. Now, over on page 534, the author walks you through the application of outer joins, okay, and again, he said, this is over in the middle of page 534. He says we want to count the number of lunches each employee will attend. Well, you can do that, which is 14.8. And notice they have a table alias they use, and an alias A and an alias B. And then we get a result table. Now, I think he has these two in. All righty. This will be worth looking at. Okay. Now, let's talk about this. Okay. I've got select A.employee ID, then the first name, then the last name. Now, I'm going to use the count function here. And I want to ask anybody out there, I'm just going to highlight this one little thing. What does this mean as number of lunches? What does that mean, that as? What's it used for? Can somebody tell me? I have as number of lunches. That as, the as, what is that? What's going on there? What am I doing? I sure hope you don't follow this silent when you're at work someday, because if you do, your supervisor is going to probably think he's hired a dud or she's hired a dud, and so go looking for somebody else. Can't be a wallflower with that type of stuff. And so if you don't speak up in meetings, you don't speak up in HAS, you don't get in the habit of it, that can be problematic for you. Trust me. You'll be in plenty of boring meetings, just like you've been in plenty of boring classes, but someone will say, hey, what is this supposed to mean? Or what do you think about this? And I hope you have an answer. This phrase here, as number of lunches, the as, what does that tell me is happening? What am I about? What am I doing? Anybody tell me? It's so quiet. What do we mean what do we mean by as number of lunches? Anybody? If you don't have a mic, you can text it to me. And you know, if we were meeting live at this point, I'd be on my knees in the middle of the aisle or getting ready to go fetal. I can do that here too. Can anybody tell me what we mean by this as number of lunches, the as? What does that as mean? What's it say? I see I've got somebody who's answering, about to make $50. I'm teasing. Okay. All right, we're counting how many. Okay, I see it's a wall. Okay, let me do this for just a second. Libby says it's counting how many lunches they have gotten, and that's the name of the column. Yeah, it's grouping the numbers in the count. Okay, and the as, all right, both of you are correct. Now, as number of lunches is also, and not the whole query, but this one part right here, what we're doing is, okay, we're getting the count and we're creating the column, okay, number of lunches. So we're using a column alias. Anytime you see something like that, those of you said we're counting, you're absolutely right. Both of those answers are correct. If we just take this one word, this keyword as, then that means I'm creating what we call a column alias. So notice what we've been doing. I can name a table A and a table B, then identify it. I can also use a column alias. And if you look at the bottom of page 35, okay, you've got number of lunches. Now, why would I do this? Well, I want to have a column that might be more descriptive. Okay, so both of you are wrong. Both of you who answered were right about the mechanics. And then from the formatting or the presentational piece of it, we use the as to say, okay, I'm going to rename the column to something that someone can understand. Okay? And so both of you are correct. And then the third piece of it is the as says, okay, I'm using a column alias, just like I've used an alias for the tables. And then I identify those tables. So let's run 14.8. And we should get the same thing we get at the bottom. So I'll click create. Now, if you start to say, hey, after I've done a few of these, it just, okay, you're right. That's what should be going on in your mind is, okay, I see this. And we're just kind of doing a little bit more at a time, just like in a language class. That's all that's going on. And you'll notice here at the bottom line, we have then this is 14.8, and we've got the first name and the last name. Okay, 14-8. And then we've got the number of lunches. Now you're right, we use the count. And to see, both of you are correct when you answered, so good job. So I'm going to open this up here in design view, and let's look at this. Now, one of us mentioned grouping. Exactly. So and you remember when we were working with columns of data and rows of data, we're always concerned about the issue of grouping, getting subtotals or getting them into smaller groups, breaking them down. Well, we've got this here on the employee, and we group them by ascending order. Then I have the first name, and it's grouped by, and the same with the group by on the last name. And B, we invoke the count. So we made sure that the employee ID was in ascending order, all right? And then we did a group by for the first name, a group by the last name. And so we ended up with basically their first and last names. Now we started with the employee ID. Now when we said group by first name, what we're literally saying is anytime you come to a unique name, put it in a group. And we have these different groups, it's really different people, okay? But they could be groups like if this is the head of a household, it could signify a group, or the head of a department or whatever. Again, it's just going to depend upon what kind of context you're in and what you're working with, okay? Over on page 557, he walks us through 14.9, all right? Now, unfortunately, 14.9 is not in here. I don't think he's in here. I want to look at this for just a second. No, he's got the SQL there, not the access. Let's see. Select a dot. I'm going to clean this up, and let's just see if I can take that Oracle and just kind of play with it. And let's see, we're going to end it. Okay, select and into date entered. And I'm going to add into one underscore play. Let's just try this into one underscore. I'll just try this. I'm not going to break the machine if it doesn't work. So we're going to take that stuff into employees A. Wrong one. Pardon me. All that into SEC 1409. So we're going to select all that stuff from A and B, okay, and we use a column alias here, and we're going to select all of that into section SEC 1409, and that's from the table, from the employees table, one underscore employees table A, and then we're going to do a left outer join on the one lunches B, where the employer ID meets the employer ID in both. And let's see what happens. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I think we just needed to do a little massaging there in terms of just using the into. So we'll click create. Remember, this isn't in the book, not in the text file. So I just a little bit of work from here. Up. I get that out of. Select A. Is it create tables? It's not going to play nice with us if we do that. Oh, I'm just kind of one table query. All right, into SEC. Let me take that out. We may not have a 1409. What I'm doing here is a little bit of troubleshooting. I'm just playing a little bit. I'm playing some around with the. This code's not in your book, and sometimes, pardon me, in the text file. Sometimes when you find one of those, there we go. I'll go back down to the SQL view. Okay, and that shows us all of that data. We'll do the data setup here, and let's see if we can go over and find employee ID. And then we even have the date entered. Now they stop there at the employee ID, there at the bottom, page 537. So if I don't want the date entered, I can just go back over here. And the design enter, and I can suppress that. How I'd suppress is just like this. Now the data that is still there, I've just cloaked them. Okay. I'll go back up here, and there's another date, the luncheon date. And we'll just suppress both. Now, again, the data that we got from the query haven't disappeared. We've just hidden them, okay? Let's go back into the design view, because we'll go ahead and we'll click the lunch date and the date entered, all right? And let's take a look up here for just a moment, because here we have a table, and I'm going to click on, and two tables related to each other. So let's, first of all, let's get it down so we can see what we're looking at. Okay. Now I'm going to click right here on the joint properties. Now, we're going to do a left join. And this is where we get everything from table A and only those records from table B where the join fields are equal. And this dialog box is really nice because it explains it to you. What's an inner join, what's an outer join, what's a left join, what's a right join. And again, it depends upon what you're after. Okay, but understand that you can do it without having to pull all of the data. He gives us a second example for 14.9, and we'll call this query 14.9. Okay. Now we can just go back up to the data view, and there we are again. With the date entered and the lunch date. Now I want to look at this, and let's you say, for example, okay, now what's the point of this lunch date and the lunch and the date entered tables? All right, and what it appears to me, okay, I'm just looking at it, is they enter a date and they reserve a date for a lunch, okay, when they'll be taking that lunch, and then we have a record that records when the lunch actually happened. So we're planning these ahead. Now, if you're out at work and you're in a sales position, or maybe you're in an executive level or E-level type of job, then this could make some sense for you as you build your luncheon schedule or appointments with people you'll be seeing over the next 2 months, 3 months, or however long it is going to be, or however it's going to be. Okay? Then all you're looking at there, now if you wanted to get the difference between them, you could just simply take the lunch date and subtract the date entered, and that should give you the number of days. So let's just play around with this just for a second. Let's just see if we can do that, because the dates are actually numbers. I'm going to go down to the design view, and I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to put in brackets, I'm going to use the bracket, and that would be lunch. And we can get an idea of how far people, in fact, I've done a cardinal sin right there. I've always told you, never try and just do it in there. Just go ahead and go into a notepad. So I'm going to go in the notepad here. And I'm going to do lunch underscore date, and then the end of the bracket. And then I'm going to get date entered. Let's try that. Now I did not identify the tables they're from, so I may be in trouble. Let's see what happens. And let's take a look. And I've got an expression. And that shows us the number of days from when we entered it, when we had the lunch versus the lunch date. So how far out were they? How far in advance? And of course, you know, if you're a large organization and you're doing this is, you probably have a corporate credit card. You want to stay on top of all of this, and you want to have kind of you probably will throw this out to Excel to kind of predict how much are we going to be paying out, because you'll have a limit on what we can spend. So if you're trying to control that cash flow, you can do so. Now you can see I've got an expression here, and I'm going to go down to the SQL, and I'll put that as date diff. Date underscore difference. Now let's see if that pretties it up a little bit. Yeah, there we are. Okay, that makes that much better. Now, if I want to format these numbers, I can go through the nightmares we've seen before in trying to work with formatting numbers and dates in Access. I'd throw this into an Excel spreadsheet, okay, or try to work with those properties. You could use the format and try to bring it down to no decimals, but it could be a little tricky. So I think what you would probably want to do with this is perhaps would be to create a form with it, or I would just dump it into Excel and then format the numbers in the way that I want them to look, and do them, and then do the presentation. Because I may want to do some, again, I'm looking at the difference between the lunch date and the date it was entered. So I could say all lunches have to be, if you're going to have a lunch with a client, you have to make an appointment with the client, and you have to have the lunch date set, say 45 days in advance. If not, we won't. You can also say it's got to be no more than 20 days in advance, so you have people out there doing what they should do. That's 14.9, and again, over in the river, there in the rest of 14, they walk you through the issues of outer joins in a sorted order. Okay, and we'll close these all off here for just a sec, because we may have to. Yeah, I will say that. Yeah. Now, I'm over on page 540, and they show you the Access SQL way to handle a full outer join in a sorted order. And over on page 539, he walks you through the syntax of that. Okay, and note that in Access, we can use the NZ, the non-zero function, okay, and multiply by the result of 1. Okay, and he talks about the NZ function and how we can use it. Now, this is not in the text files. It's 1410. This is what this is, and we're going to walk through what's going on here. We're going to select everything from table A and B. Then we're going to use the NZ. Okay. And again, what that means is the non-zero. And we're going to take, we take the NZ function by 1 to convert it into a number. Okay. And then, and this is number A dot number 2, B dot number 3. And then you take that times 1, where 1 is given a table alias of sort order, and then we get that from the 2's, and then we do a left outer join on the 3's, and then we see the union, and we do the process again. This time we have tables C and D, and then it's from the 2's, and this time we use the right outer join. I'm in the bottom part of that long query. And then I order it, and then I order everything by sort order. So you'll notice how we've worked with using the NZ, and we've done a left outer join, then a union, and then a right outer join, okay? And that's, again, it's not in the text, but you can type that into the code and run it, and you should get the result table they show you over there on page 541, okay? And this is a way we can select, we can put them into some type of numeric order if we care to, and that's where we got the sort order, okay? And we took that, we created that column alias. All right? Okay, well, folks, let me see what else we've got left here on 14. Chapter 14 has some interesting stuff at the end there, like finding a defect in a pattern, comparing tables, you can do that. That's 14.12. And then comparing two different outer joins. Some of these are not in the some of these are not in the text file. And he walks us through some more issues involving outer joins. Now, most of those are not in the text file. So I'd say there's, I don't see any reason to really put you through that. You can take a look at them, and you should be able to see what he's going to do without typing it all out and running it. A key piece over here is over at the end of the chapter, page 553, where he talks about the key points on the types of outer join, the effect on the first table, the effect on the second table. And that's an excellent chart. And then he just gives us some bullet points to look at in terms of some general rules or information about doing these outer joins. So you can see we're getting a little more complex with how we do this, and we're getting some result sets now that are just a little more complex than what we were doing when we were running them. Okay? Well, that'll pretty much do it. Thank you, all of you who stayed a little bit over and came in maybe a little early. And that'll pretty much do it. That's chapter 14. And so on Thursday, we'll launch into chapter 15, and that's where we're going to talk about unions. Thank you so much for your time. Those of you who participated, thank you. And I'll stop the share and then stop the recording and end the meeting. I'll see all of you folks on Thursday.